Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Carroll from MyMMAnews.com and Carroll's Corner MMA podcast. Today, we're joined by Joey Peteroy, who's Choker Talk on Instagram. Joey, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you on. You got an event coming up on March 2nd at Mulcahy's Pub and Grill and Concert Hall in Wantagh, New York. It's a LEO, law enforcement only grappling event. Joey, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in combat sports.
All right. First off, if you don't mind, I just want to correct you real quick.
Sure.
It's for all first responders, not just law enforcement. All right. So in addition to, obviously, we're going to have our police, our correction officers, to EMTs, paramedics, firemen, and just to answer your second question, I'm a first-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I believe I got my black belt in 2019. I recently just got back into competing this year. I've been a correction officer in New York City since 2013. I actually completed my 12th year yesterday, just started my 13th year. And, I've been a big advocate. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu it's a beautiful thing. It's something that's up and coming, obviously in the law enforcement and first responder community. I don't want to ramble too much to answer your question. So to paraphrase that, BJJ black belt, New York City correctional officer.
That's awesome. I have family members that are in law enforcement as well. Much respect to you guys and the job that you do. It's not an easy job and a very thankless job. So props to you and all that participate in the first responders positions. So thank you for your service, really.
You're welcome. Anytime. It's been a pleasure.
So let's get into this event you got coming up on March 2nd at Mulcahy's. It's a collaboration with Jackhammer Promotions, Bobby Campbell. Bobby's been doing events for a long time. He's the longest running promotion of MMA and kickboxing in Long Island for well over a decade. Tell us a little bit how this came about and how you want to do the first responders grappling event.
Sure. Well, long story short,
Joe, are you there? I don't think we lost you.
Lost you. The connection all right?
There you go.
I think I'm back. Back over here.
Yeah, here we go. We're good.
So I've done a few of law enforcement smoker boxing fights. I fought for corrections a few times. And if you haven't been to one of NYPD's smoker events, they're corrections, NYPD, obviously, FDNY, Suffolk County, Nassau. We had this stuff for jiu-jitsu because I'm more of a jiu-jitsu guy. I love boxing. I respect boxing. I'm not nearly quite as good at it as I am at jiu-jitsu. But, for years, all of us jiu-jitsu guys said, man, I wish we had something like this for jiu-jitsu. And then, finally in the end of 2024, I said, you know what? I think it's time to pull the trigger. It's something I would like to get interested in. And I was introduced to Bobby from Jackhammer Promotions through a good friend of mine. And, from there, things really took off.
Awesome. Yeah. How many fights or super matches or matches do you guys put together for this event?
Well, if you would have asked me this about 2 weeks ago, I would have said I'm looking to put on anywhere between 10 and 15. It's gotten to the point where it's a possibility that I might have to, turn some people away. I'm getting literally 5 to 10 people a day. So it's going to be a lot dependent on, of course, who I can match up. something that's very, very important to me, and that's something I've advertised and I'm very big on. I'm trying to match everyone up as fairly as possible. And I had a very good conversation with someone from NYPD a couple weeks ago. He said, "Listen, I got a couple guys, but they're scared to compete. They've never competed before." And I said, "That's perfect. If you have someone from an agency or department that's never competed before, what better opportunity than to compete against someone else from law enforcement in the same position that's never competed before?"
Absolutely.
Because I know firsthand people will go as far as getting their black belt without ever competing. Just because you're a purple belt or a brown belt or a blue belt doesn't mean you've competed before. So what I'm trying to do here, if I have someone that's a blue belt that's never competed, I'm also trying to find them another blue belt or someone around the same experience level that's never competed. Now, on the flip side, if I have someone that regularly fights in MMA, or they're doing the IBJJF Pan Ams, or they're doing now, I'm going to match them up with someone that competes as well. All right. But to answer your question, it's going to be as many matches as I'm allowed to put on, because, you know, and I actually made a list of all the agencies that have at least one competitor. Would you mind if I read them off?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I'm sorry. All right. So I'm going to start with Suffolk County, because if there's one thing I've learned within the past couple of weeks, it's that Suffolk County loves their jiu-jitsu. I myself am a Staten Island guy, but Chris Delaney, I want to give a big shout out to Chris Delaney. You have been so helpful through this process. Suffolk County PD and Suffolk County Sheriffs have sent me a lot of great competitors that I'm trying to match up. So in addition to Suffolk County Sheriffs and Suffolk County PD, I have Nassau PD, I have NYPD, I have New York City Department of Corrections, MTA. I have the Secret Service, Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, Livingston, Piscataway, Newton PD, New Jersey State Police, Winslow Township, Somerset County Sheriffs, West County, and I saved the best two for last. All right. I had two different individuals hit me up from as far as Canada, asking if I could find room on them in the card. And it's something I basically responded, trip, I would love to have. There, as far as Durham Regional Police in Ontario, and St. John Correction in New Brunswick, not New Brunswick, New Jersey, New Brunswick, Canada. So the point being that, I think the law enforcement and the first responder community.
Joe, I think we lost you. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Internet connection must be a little off. Once we get Joe back, we'll get him back on here. Apologize, but like you said, March 2nd, the event will be taking place in Mulcahy's Pub and Concert Hall in Wantonia, New York. Co-promotion with Jackhammer Promotions. Definitely want to check it out. There should be more information coming. Where I think we're going to have to maybe reschedule this and kind of get this the internet fixed for this, so we can get this going a little better. But a lot to come, a lot of information to come. I apologize. Hopefully we can see if we can get Joe back on here and see if once he gets back on here, I'm going to take him down until I see his thing pop up. But appreciate everyone hopping on and watching. For those who did, for those who tune in on YouTube later on, check out Carroll's Corner MMA podcast. I got lots of interviews with UFC, former Bellator, which Bellator is no longer around, some PFL guys, USA Wrestling at way back in 2012 at the Olympic Team Trials. I got interviews from all over, so definitely check that out. I covered Jackhammer Promotions here on Long Island. It also takes place at Mulcahy's Pub and Concert Hall. And then I've done other shows. Like I'll be doing Lou Negda's show on February 1st this year coming up. So definitely check out the shows and the promotions in my YouTube channel, Carroll's Corner MMA Podcast. as I believe let's see if we got Joe back here. Joe, can you hear me? Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the internet. I'm going to try and see what that is, but we appreciate everyone hopping on and watching. And as soon as we can get this fixed, we'll get this going and we'll repost this episode. I apologize for those trying to tune in, but once we get it going, see, Joe, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm not sure. At the moment. So, apologize. Connection out by Staten Island must be a little off. The wind's been wicked around here on Long Island, up on the North Shore. I know it's been crazy the last few nights. For those who tune in, I appreciate it. But January 26th, Jackhammer Promotions, the Beatdown 12 returns. You don't want to miss it. I believe Bobby Campbell has already over 15 fights scheduled for the event. You don't want to miss that, as we got Joe back. Joe, how you doing? Sorry about that.
Sorry, I got a missed call and it kicked me out. I'm sorry about that.
All good, all good. So
I'm
you're back. You were reading off names of the different services that were going to be participating in the first responders grappling match on March 2nd.
Yes, we got a lot of different departments from all over Long Island, New York City, all different parts of New Jersey, as I mentioned, and a potential too from Canada. I just feel awful about making such a trip, but it just goes to show that how excited people are getting, and I truly feel that like when people see you doing a good thing that's going to help the first responder and law enforcement community, I think people are excited to finally be a part of it, and
absolutely,
I'm excited.
The community is very special. Like, they're very supportive of each other, as well as competitive. I've commentated the FDNY boxing matches, the NYPD versus FDNY in Manhattan. I've commentated that, and it's always a great time. Everyone shows up. You have had commissioners at the events. It's always a great time, and it's always very competitive, and just a great family atmosphere as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's fun. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be a good time. And at the end of the day, we're all going to go to work. We all have work the next week. Most of us. There might be a couple retired guys on the card. God bless them. Good for them. But the majority of us, we're still working. And it's a good way, like I said, for their first feet wet in their first competition. It's a good way for guys to stay active that might compete in jiu-jitsu regularly or possibly fight MMA regularly. And it's a good way to have fun. We're all going to have fun after, hopefully maybe have a beer after, have a good time. And, there's nothing wrong with a little, good friendly rivalries, right? And who knows, this might be the first. I'm hoping this is the first of many events in the future. I'd love to get some title belts and make champions in different weight classes and brackets and just keep this going. But let's get I want to get this first show, on the road, get that out of the way first.
Absolutely. Well, what inspired you to want to put this together? Now, it's a ton of work. I'm sure talking to Bobby Campbell, I'm sure he mentioned how much work goes into it, how much time and dedication it will take to enlist everyone that's going to compete and getting all the paperwork in and getting the section and body and just getting everything together, all the logistics. What inspired you to want to do this?
Just being his smoker fights. Like I said before, if you haven't been to one, go to one. It's a great time. He's actually been a great help to me during this process, along with Boldest Boxing. They've really been great help. So big shout out to that. And seeing the show they put on and the atmosphere they put on, and just bringing the law enforcement, first responder community together, and just having fun. And then also, attending, different grappling environments. In addition, and saying, listen, there's got to be a way to have the same atmosphere, but involve the jiu-jitsu guys, because they want to run at this too. They deserve, some credit, their time on the mat, their 15 minutes of fame, what have you, because you got football, you got baseball, boxing. I think it's time to get some jiu-jitsu in there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, being like you said you guys work full time. Obviously, this is in addition to your work side, like when you have time off.
Yeah.
How does that go? Like being in a job where your physical health is important. Say supposedly you get hurt doing this. Is this something that they understand? Is this something that they're concerned about? I guess talk a little bit about like the job aspect compared to competing.
Listen, train hard, in shape, and try your best not to get hurt. Listen, obviously you got to be careful. Work comes first. I have a family. I got 2 beautiful kids, beautiful wife. I got to take care of them first. I love jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu's been great to me. But the reality is jiu-jitsu doesn't pay my mortgage. So, work's got to come first. But the flip side of the coin is, listen, you can only be so safe in life. Work can't stop you from going to the gym. It can't stop doing jiu-jitsu. It can't stop you from, being active. I mean, you can get hurt crossing the street. So to answer your question, obviously you have to be careful. You got to put work first. You try not to get hurt, but at the same time, you only live once. If you want to get into boxing or jiu-jitsu or MMA or kickboxing, any kind of physical contact sport, I would advise, be careful, but don't let the fear of getting hurt deter you from getting into these contact sports if you haven't, because there are safe ways to do it. And the reality is you can get hurt, carrying your groceries up the stairs, on the way home from ShopRite. You don't need contact sports to get hurt.
Absolutely. Do you guys have any sponsors for this? Anyone you want to shout out? Anyone you want to recognize that's going to help sponsor this event?
To the best of my knowledge, I've been so busy dealing, obviously with work first, but obviously, in addition to that, dealing with the influx of hopeful competitors, I haven't even had a chance to look into that. However, I'm sure myself, Jackhammer Promotions and Mulcahy's, we would be more than happy to take on sponsors. So you can hit up any of us. I'm sure you're going to share. You said Instagram is at Choker Talk. We'd be more than willing to take on sponsors if interested.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say to the fans who might tune in, who aren't sure if they should tune in? Anything you want to say to them before I let you go and just kind of put some awareness out there?
I'd say, listen, if you could, whether you like jiu-jitsu or you're pro law enforcement or you're just in the area and looking to have a good time, check it out. It's going to be a good time. And more important than that, it's you're going to be part of history, because to the best of my knowledge, nothing like this has been put on, at least in the tri-state area. So who knows? You might be saying, a few years from now, well, I went to the first show. This is something that very possibly could take off. So, check us out. It's going to be a great time. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much to Jackhammer Promotions, Mulcahy's. Thank you all that gave me their chat. Thank you, Dave C., Boldest Boxing, for helping me out. Yeah, man. And stay tuned, because I would like to get on here if you're willing to have me with some competitors that are competing in the upcoming show.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, I appreciate you hopping on. For those who are still curious, make sure you check it out. It's something you don't want to miss. It's always fun. Anytime the first responders get inside the ring, the cage, or on the mat, or on the football field and compete, it's always a good time. Definitely check it out. March 2nd. Before March 2nd, we got January 26th, Sunday, at Jackhammer Promotions. The Beatdown 12 takes place at Mulcahy's Pub and Concert Hall. Then following is March 2nd. You got this great first responders grappling event taking place. Don't want to miss that. So, and then following that is the last bell, I believe, is April 24th, another Jackhammer Promotions. So another fighter is going to be competing for the last time. We're going to hold that one. We're not going to let anyone know who it is yet at this moment, but they're going to fight their final fight. It's not Bobby Campbell, but they're going to fight their last fight and then hang up the gloves for the final time. So make sure you check it out March 2nd. Joe, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you.
This is Carroll's Corner MMA podcast, and we're signing off.
All right, man. Thank you.